The Bunker Project is brought to you by Okanagan Springs Brewmaster. Welcome back to another episode of The Bunker Show. We are back in the Bunker Bar in the back room, drinking some non-black beers and getting ready to start an awesome show about the Apple Keynote. All right, it was Apple Week this week. Worldwide, people tuned in, crashed the servers. One of the first times, if not the first time, Apple did that.
It's not the first time.
It's not the first time? It's been a while though, right?
I think so.
Yeah. I don't think they like to do it because they're worried about crashing servers, and that's what they did. And but it was interesting. Let's start off with the roundtable introductions, and we'll say, are you fanboy or not? We'll start with Sanj.
Sanj Sukrkar, Genesis Designs, at Genesis Designs. No, absolutely not. Always been an Android guy right from the beginning. I have tinkered around with Apple though, so that's as far as I know about any Apple devices. But I was totally taken aback. We'll get into the iCloud breach and stuff later, but I'll let Bonnie go.
Bonnie Sainsbury, at B Sainsbury. Man, I haven't said that for a long time. Women Talking Tech. I have not ever been an Apple fan anything. I once had a MacBook Pro for supposedly 2 months while this guy went to Europe, and he said, when I get back, you're going to be totally Apple. I played with it for 2 weeks, put it in a closet, and waited till he came home and just handed it to him. It forces me to do things their way, and I'm just too stubborn. And the iPhones, up until today, they got these dinky fucking little keys.
Yeah, the screen size.
And the little teeny
and
screen.
the teeny little, yeah. I can't even key in my teeny tiny email. I tried to use somebody's iPhone to key in it, and it's bjanesxxx at gmail.com. I mean, it's about as short.
Well, I mean, they had to do it that way so that they could have these autocorrect websites that are just hilarious.
True.
And it didn't have swipe on it.
No.
But apparently now it'll have Swift key. But anyway, moving along.
Yeah, okay. So I am definitely not. I've played with them as late as like 2 weeks ago when I tried to send myself an email from this guy's iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
It took me like 10 friggin' minutes because the teeny tiny little keys and my big fat fingers. My bad.
Margaret Reynolds at Women Talking Tech. And I did have an iPhone back in the day, and, it was okay, but I would have never called myself a fangirl. But since moving to Android, I'm far, far happier.
And normally we have at least one Apple person here. Sure. Randall, he's got an iPad, he's got a Mac, he's got an iPhone, pretty much everything Apple.
Yep.
Ian,
but we like him anyway.
In the past, he's also very much an Apple fanboy. Maybe not a fanboy. He prefers it, but I don't think.
Oh no, he and I used to have some good back and forth. And
yeah.
Curtis is.
Oh yes, Curtis.
He's got like tattoos of Apple all over his body.
Web guru.
Yeah, I know.
He's a big fanboy too. So it's too bad that we don't have them at this show. But I'll step in and be the kind of honorary fanboy, even though I'm not. I have an Android phone. I have a Nexus 7 and a Nexus 5. I don't use a Mac. I use a Lenovo Yoga Windows kind of hybrid PC. But I'm not married to any of that stuff, and I haven't like drawn a line in the sand. I don't consider myself to be a Google disciple. I just like whatever I happen to like at the time, and right now it's Android. That doesn't mean that in the future I won't like Apple or iPhones or Macs.
Well,
or
they're going to
whatever.
have to actually come up with something new.
Something worth
But
liking.
but what I did watch the keynote. Anybody watch the keynote, like the
No.
whole thing?
No, what a waste.
I went to watch it because I was at work, and someone at work said, "Oh, is anybody going to watch it?" And I said, "Oh, I'll watch it." So I put it on, and there was a countdown. Then when it got close to the end of the countdown, it said, "Your browser is not supported." And I read the fine print, and it said, "Must be using Safari." So I downloaded Safari on that machine. I opened it up. Same thing. And then I read the rest of it. Oh, Safari on OS X 10 point whatever or greater.
Really? You couldn't?
So you could only do it. You could only watch the live stream on an iOS device or a Mac running Safari.
That's just rude.
So I wanted to first off start off. What do you guys think of that? Do you think that's a bad move? Do you think that's
Just
a good move?
That's stupid. If you want to get new clients, shutting them out of your launch is not a good way to impress them.
Okay, but I mean, you were the one that said to me when I was whining about journalists who obviously have a bent toward Apple. I think you were the one that said to me that you have to be a fanboy in order to get invited to their to any of their announcements or their
Yes.
events.
Yeah, like if you look at everybody that
That's
was
just
at the
rude.
Flint
I still think
Center.
it's rude. That's just
Okay, but that follows, doesn't it? That you go from journalist fanboys to user fanboys.
Well, I mean, the Apple events are really, events for the
yeah.
for the fanboys, and they put them on. It was entertaining and it was well done.
Did they
Despite
give them stuff?
I don't know, they had this big building they created, this temporary building.
Oh,
they
yeah, I saw
created,
that.
and everybody was lined up outside to get in. And after the keynote, everybody got to go in, and they had things on display. And I don't know if they were giving away.
Okay,
anything,
because at Google I/O, they give away stuff. I mean, if you get to go to that, you get really good stuff.
Mhm.
Not just
Yeah,
a handbag.
Bling,
swag.
Yeah.
swag, bling, whatever. And I wasn't sure whether everybody got an iPhone 6 or was it an iWatch, whatever it is, Apple.
No,
No,
nobody.
strapped
They're
to
not
your
getting.
They're
arm.
not calling it iWatch anymore. It's Apple Watch.
They're getting rid of the I in their branding for pretty much everything now. It's all, it's
So what?
Apple
It's
now.
going to be phone 6.
No, it's Apple. Well, no, the iPhone is still the iPhone, and the iPad's the iPad, but the watch is Apple Watch, and
I think
and
iMac
Apple-
is going to be called the Big Mac.
and their new their pay is not.
There might be a
that's what-
trademark infringement there.
Yeah. Their new payment system
Oh.
is Apple Pay, not iPay.
Okay, so let's go into. Do you want to go into the pay part?
Well,
Or-
no, not yet. But before we go into that, the back on the live stream only working on an iOS device. At first, I thought that I was kind of ticked. I'm like, oh, and then a couple of people at work said the same thing. They said, well, it's kind of crazy. Wouldn't they want people who don't use their products to be exposed to them more and all this? And then after I thought, okay, well, it's creating this culture of you're in the club kind of thing. So I can sort of see that because that's what
Yeah,
they've
but
done.
that's
It's
so
the cult
child.
of,
That
it's
is
the cult of Matt.
but it's childish.
And also, what they might be doing is they might be using I don't know if this is just all conjecture. I didn't even look this up. I just thought of it right now. Is that they might be using, some kind of compression for the live feed within their own technology, so that to reduce the
But the thing is, that's it really goes to show. It's like, come on, Apple people, pull your heads out of your ass. There's more to the world than just Apple, and by excluding everything else, you're going to end up shooting yourself in the foot.
yeah. But
If you want to get people that are maybe on the fence, thinking, man, maybe I might go Apple. Let's see what they've got. But you exclude them, I'd be like, well, forget it.
That kind of reminds me when Apple was going down and Microsoft stepped in and did that $150 million loan or whatever, or injection into Apple, is what pulled them out. So even at that particular meeting, there was, I'm digressing here, Bill Gates was on the stage, and I remember watching a video on YouTube with Steve Jobs actually standing up and thanking him publicly, and right about time when Steve Jobs is about to say something, the whole crowd is booing Microsoft. And I'm going, Did you guys just listen to what he's about to say, or do you know what's going on? You guys will not have an ecosystem without him.
Yeah, it's absolutely
Apple
true.
created those fanboys. They did it in a very purposeful
Of course.
manner.
Yes, absolutely.
And
any brand would be probably would like to do that too, to have it, because a fanboy is basically a
Fanatic.
brand
Sheep.
evangelist, right?
A
A brand
sheep.
evangelist.
Yeah, way past that.
Sheeple.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I went like pro Microsoft, pro Google, was these friggin' obnoxious Apple fanboys. Every time, when they announced Windows 8, these friggin' Apple fanboys, I was going to say something else, would get on and there would be like 150 comments in a row about what a piece of crap Microsoft 8 or Google whatever was,
but
and they can't even friggin' spell Google. They're
But
just doing
actually,
what they were told.
For Windows 8, the majority of the comments that were coming through on the forums and whatnot were actually Windows 7 users who were saying this is a piece of crap. It wasn't. There was, of course, there
I
was
know,
Mac
but they
users.
did the same thing when Vista came out. They did the same thing
I know.
when Windows 7 came
Yes.
out.
Or
It's
Android,
like, yeah.
or anytime.
Well, it was because it's
But
such
also,
different
the interesting
interface.
thing is like Windows 8 has more users on it than all of Apple operating systems combined.
Desktops, yes.
No, but
Desktops.
As much as I disagree with them, I agree with them just a smidgen. I think Microsoft played the Windows 8 card too soon. I
Oh, no, I agree.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
I don't think the world was
Too soon?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think
that-
the world
I
was
don't
ready
think-
for it.
I don't think
I
the
think you're right.
desktop world was not ready for
No.
Windows 8.
No.
No, I
Windows
agree.
8 should have come out as a Windows 8 RT, like just for mobile devices. That would have been okay. Or
No, I
tablets.
disagree. I think for Windows, what they really screwed up. I think they should have should have never brought out Windows RT, and they should have used, for the tablet version of Windows, it should have been Windows Phone. It should have been Windows Phone, just bigger, just like the iPhone and the iPad.
What about desktops?
Well, desktops, they should have just left it alone, and maybe slowly added features. But I thought in the long run, I think it might work out for them.
I think Windows 9 is
Well,
just
yeah.
going to be Windows 7 with a garnish of Windows 8.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
going to have the start screen.
Because you want to be able to use the touchscreens now, which you need kind of the Windows 8 to be able to take advantage of the touchscreens. But yeah, you still want some of the Windows 7 because it's good business functionality.
You know what? They should have Windows 8 geniuses, so that you can go. You can.
They do. They're
attached.
They're at the Microsoft store.
No, but you can't go to the Microsoft store. I'm thinking you just go online and they're available, and they show you in 5 minutes how to use Windows 8.
Yeah, but even if you already know how to use Windows 8, there was still some things I just didn't like about it. I'm
Oh.
glad they're getting rid of the charms bar.
Oh,
I'm happy about that.
that is such a no-brainer. I mean, big deal. You just go flick on the side with your mouse.
No, the Charms bar is like the widgets. Remember
It's
the
like
widget? Remember the widget bar in Vista on the right-hand side? You could have the
Oh yeah,
clock.
you
And
could turn it on.
how many people had it on? Nobody.
I turned it off.
It was default off, and then you could turn it on.
Yeah.
That's what they should have done with the Charms. They should have left it off, and then
okay,
if you
so
really
you could
If
wanted
you're
turn it
smart
off.
enough, you can turn it on.
Yeah. See, that one doesn't bother me.
It bothers me
it
because
took
I
long
use
enough.
well, I don't anymore. But when my desktop PC was working, I would use a Wacom tablet, and actually I still sometimes do with this. And if you move it too fast, it brings the charms bar. Or if you go into the corner of the screen inadvertently, because you can do that easily when you're using a tablet. I mean, Wacom tablet as a mouse. But I like that because I can do things quickly, and then I just do boom, it comes up, and all of a sudden I'm in Windows 8 on the Metro side, and it's really annoying.
I just use an ordinary mouse and
there was a few other things that I didn't like about Windows 8. It was a little bit clunky, but on the whole, I like Windows 8, and Windows 8.1 is definitely better.
So
we'll
let's
see.
get back to Apple.
We'll see how it goes. So
It's
most
still
most people are under consensus that they should have included all browsers and all devices for watching the keynote. What about the fact that it crashed the servers? Does that tarnish their brand?
That happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
And actually, you know what? I because I couldn't watch it live direct from Apple, I just went to twit.tv and I watched it through them, and it was actually way better because when it crashed, and even when it wasn't crashing, I got to watch or listen to their
commentary.
Their commentary on top of it, which was great. And so it'd crash, and then they'd talk about it, and then it would come back on. And then Mike Elgin was the best. He was making all these cracks. It was hilarious. They said, I don't know how many times Tim Cook kept saying, "It's the best iPhone we've made yet," and he's like, why would they make a worse iPhone? And he just kept making funny comments like that. It was hilarious. But it was good. I thought I enjoyed watching it. It was great.
What I found kind of interesting is afterwards is nobody's really talking about the iPhone 6 because I think they quickly realized, well, there wasn't really anything new that's not already on the market. It's focusing on the big story was the watch.
Okay, well, actually, no, that's a good question. That's a good point because I think that people expect too much, not only from Apple but from other. Whenever there's something new, like why do they have to innovate so much every time?
Well, because Apple's supposedly such an innovative company, but
no, but they're not.
Well, I know exactly. I agree with you, but that's the fanboys. But they're always so innovative. Well, it's like but it's like as I said, welcome to 2012. The Nexus had all these features then.
Now,
but I mean, to play devil's advocate on that point, Apple really was the first really usable smartphone. The iPhone.
But that was how long? Like,
that was
12 years ago.
No, it was 2006.
And how long?
But it's okay. But it's like now, it's like, but still, everybody wants something new when you're having a new phone. Otherwise, why am I going to upgrade?
So why? Okay, if you're going to announce as a manufacturer, if you're going to announce a new model, and I'm going to pay $600, $700, $1,100 for it, it damn well better have new features.
No,
if the only thing you're going to do,
not necessarily. If you're buying a new car, you don't necessarily need a new feature. You just want a nice car.
No,
you want new features.
No, not lately.
You want
not
GPS. You want rear view camera. You always there has to be measurable improvement.
Yeah, there's no point in buying
but there
a
doesn't
new
have
car.
to. It doesn't have to be significantly better than than the competition, right? I'll grab another 15, 16, please.
No, I wouldn't.
Hello.
I wouldn't buy a new smartphone unless my old one was broken, or there were.
That's what everybody.
Good.
I shouldn't say.
She was there. Why didn't you say something?
The waitress just came in. That was more beer.
Anyway,
No,
I mean,
anyway,
I think it's nice that the Apple fanboys now have some of the features that we Android people have enjoyed over the past couple of years. I think that's a nice thing.
But
for
don't
them.
friggin' tell us they invented it. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you? Is there anything that you saw in the specs on the iPhone that is better than any of the Android phones out there?
Well, it'd be interesting to see what reality comes with the battery life, because they always, every new phone always says they have this fabulous battery life, and then you get it realize, okay, it might be a little bit better, but it still doesn't do what they say.
A 7-inch screen and
no 6-inch screen.
No, isn't
it's
the big one?
4.7 and it's 5.5.
5.5.
Oh, okay.
But it's supposed to be like 11 hours of straight video streaming. Yeah.
On a big screen?
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I want to see, it'd be nice if they had better battery.
The one thing I will say that I do like about Apple, because I've used Blackberries recently, and I've used Android phones predominantly for the last few years, but I've used iPhones and Windows phones too. And the one thing that I do like about it is that it is more.
Sanj wants a beer. Do you want a beer? No.
No?
Okay.
Oh, you know. Okay.
It is more I find it more stable than the other platforms. Maybe with the
Which
exception
one?
of Windows. iPhone.
But more
iPhone.
stable how?
Less glitchy, less.
I don't have any glitches.
I don't have any glitches either, and we don't even have the same brand of cell
Well,
phone.
I've got a Nexus 5, and it works extremely well, but occasionally it locks up, freezes. Same with my Nexus 7. Occasionally it locks up.
Might be a
Oh.
Nexus issue.
And
I got a Nexus 4 that I don't think has ever frozen up.
my HTC Desire I used to have to do a battery pull every
Okay.
now and then.
I haven't had an
And-
HTC for a long time, so I can't.
No,
speak to
I don't
that.
know.
Did
Can't
you
can't
have a
relate.
lot of
Anyway,
And
iPhones?
that's the thing with Android. It's like and Tim Cook brought this up that Android is not one thing. It's like
Which
more,
I think is the benefit because
It's like Windows.
it makes cell phones so much more accessible and flexible that
well, yeah. There's more variety within the Android
yeah, which
platform
I think
itself.
is a good thing. Is like it's I think that's a bonus and
So I
But-
have,
but
I
Tim
have a
Cook
Nexus.
But
and
in terms,
kiss my
but in
ass.
terms of the point that he was making, he's saying that you can't compare Apple to all of Android
can.
and say that Android is outselling Apple when that would be like saying comparing the economy of, let's say,
We're comparing operating
Let's say-
systems, not phones. We're comparing.
well, no,
if you-
but then you could say the same thing about Windows too, right?
What?
Well, Windows is made up of a whole bunch of different manufacturers.
Yeah.
So when you're
that's
looking-
their model.
But Windows isn't. I mean,
Yeah.
Windows is Windows. It's from Microsoft.
We're not talking
When
hardware.
PCs are made up of different manufacturers, but the operating system is still Windows.
But if you're looking at the phone and you're comparing one phone to another phone, and you're looking at the aggregate of all of Android,
He's still behind
He's still- yeah.
Samsung.
Yeah, I think if you're comparing Nexus and iPhone, I can see that argument. But if you're comparing Android and iOS,
Oh yeah, and if you're,
I'm with Margaret.
Yeah, see, it's Android. Yeah, because we're comparing Android and iOS, not
I mean, the
brands
whole
of phone. I
idea
mean,
of
I mean that just happens.
no, but
iOS only has
you have
one
to put
brand
it, you
of
have
phone.
to put it in context when they're comparing sales of devices, and Apple's
Yeah.
saying, what if you look at it as from a manufacturer's point of view?
Samsung still outperforms.
But also too, I mean,
Yes,
there's stats
it's
available.
true.
There's stats available per phone, but the stat that I think is the telling one is per iOS.
okay, and it's their sales model that iOS only runs on their
Yeah, they control the hardware, the software,
okay,
and the ecosystem.
and they chose that.
yeah,
Now he's whining because Google has Android and they licensed to
Same as
a
Microsoft
number
did.
of hardware. So you can't say, well, it's only on my device if that was your
yeah, but you can't
marketing.
say it. You can't say it. You can't say it if they're talking about the software in the context of that particular conversation. If they're talking about the hardware and saying that your hardware hasn't sold as much as Android, well, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Which
but we're not-
manufacturer
but
are
we're
you
not
talking about?
No, no,
Generally,
no.
we're talking. We
No, but the point I was bringing up is that when they were talking about that, the context of that was in the hardware.
You see, I
And-
always compare operating systems, not hardware.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Android has a lot of more variety of hardware, but they're still running. They're
that's
still,
one of the
but they're still
reasons why
running
they're popular.
Android. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't care.
Well-
My phone is pure Android as you can get. It's a Google phone.
Yep.
So it doesn't have much of anything
Either does mine,
on it.
and that's what I like.
Okay. Margaret has a Samsung, and Samsung has chosen to put extra goodies on it.
TouchWiz.
I had. I've
I
had
try
a
not to whiz
Samsung.
at my phone.
I've had a Samsung, and I still have a Note, and I like some of those, and
Yeah.
some of them I don't.
I like
Just
some of
the
the.
same as
I like some of them
my
too,
Google.
but I don't like.
There's some I like and some I don't, but it's still Android. If I go and pick up Margaret's Samsung, it takes me no time at all. Usually, I have to find the start button. And sometimes it's a button at the bottom. Sometimes it's like a hardware button. But truly, once you get in there, it looks the same.
Yeah.
The settings looks the same. If I go into the Play Store, it looks the same. Gmail looks the same. All of that looks the same. Margaret's got a prettier case than I do on mine.
I spent a whole $4.95 on Amazon on this
shit,
case.
I paid more than that. Okay, for ugly green. But
Yours is
it's an-
sturdier,
it's an
but
Amazon.
mine also acts as a wallet.
Mine doesn't. But truly, the difference is the case. I mean,
Your case will actually protect the phone better because I have a case just like Margaret's, and I dropped my phone and smashed the screen.
whoops. Okay.
And
And the thing that is different is the camera. So
Yeah.
it takes me 30 seconds to figure out Margaret's camera because it changes.
And I also have
it
more
doesn't-
features.
Yeah. I think the Samsung camera has more features. You're right. Than
Yeah.
Google.
Pretty sure I
But-
have more megapixels than the Apple phone too.
But
yeah, but
I mean,
megapixels are irrelevant.
Apparently, it's what you do with your megapixel, not how big it is.
No, but not even that. Not even that.
but
in
it's the
terms of
same phone.
the Nokia Lumia 1080 or whatever has
yeah.
42 megapixel camera, but really you don't need a 42 megapixel
No.
camera. And if you don't have a lens that is high quality as well, we need Bob here to talk about this stuff. But
All the smartphones have awesome
Okay,
cameras,
but
and they can
but
all take good
still-
stuff. And the
No,
naked
but-
eye can't really tell much difference.
This is
You
one
have
thing that I'm
Samsung?
going to say. I'm gonna say in favor of iPhone is that especially with low light pictures, they've got the highest rated camera, if not the highest
I
rated.
don't know. I can take low light pictures.
Yeah, but the pictures on the iPhone are going to look better. Now
so maybe
the
you don't need that.
at least for right now, especially with the iPhone 6 Plus, they've probably got the best camera on the market now.
Even better than the Lumia?
Yeah.
Oh, what? Okay, what was
The
the one
Lumia-
that we
the-
saw at the
well-
Microsoft store that had you could change the aperture and all this? Like,
no.
okay, there's no way the iPhone camera can do the stuff that the
Yeah,
camera on
that's
this
the
phone.
one. That's the one
yeah.
I'm talking about. But the new one can. It's got image. It's like got optical zoom, very very small. But
Because the
the
setting,
Lumia is actually sticks out quite a
but the
ways.
settings on that Lumia that you could change. I mean, it's like it would be something that only Bob could get use out of.
Yeah, well, you know what? I bet you, and I don't know because I haven't played with it, obviously. But the iPhone 6 Plus probably doesn't have those kind of manual settings because the iPhone probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's all automatic. And
Yeah. See, the
but
Lumia had the
pictures
manual
in the
settings.
Keynote that they showed were actually phenomenal, especially the dark ones and the contrast between the. So it looks like they've got a pretty cool camera.
Cool.
And the technology that they're using is called Focus Pixel technology, which improves the phone's ability to select autofocus points, multiple autofocus points. And for videos, there's a new 240 frame per second slow-mo option. So if someone's doing a kind of an action scene on a, martial arts or whatever, you can video it or portions of the video in slow motion. So they start to kick and then you slow it down. And then it's actually, it looked really cool.
Okay.
So
I mean,
that's
that's cool.
something
And if that's something that's important to you, then that's the phone you should, that you should have.
So it'll be interesting to see all these people that once they get the phones, all these YouTube videos that we're going to see using that effect. It's going to be kind of neat.
So
But-
can I just do a 90-degree here? So IFA, does anybody know what IFA is? It's actually a European tech conference that was last week or the week before, within the last couple of weeks. And at that, Samsung announced a new phone. Did you know that?
Yes, the Samsung Edge.
And it's called the Edge because
Oh, yeah.
there's a little display around the
Only
side.
only on the one side.
Only on one side.
Oh, okay, only on
Yeah,
one side.
but yeah, so you can see,
so
you can
sit
see,
it on the sit it down,
and you can watch icons.
and
You
then
can
you
have
can-
icons and stuff on there.
Yeah. So
Very
it
neat.
actually displays something on the side. Now, I think that's cool. Would I pay $600 for a new
But
phone
I'm thinking
to
it's
do
like,
that?
okay,
No.
how are they going to put that in a case?
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
There's a-
you can put that on a case, and is that really adding value though? It's got
mean, that's the same
it's
as
got
a-
a cosmetic.
No,
That's the same
It's
as
a
a
neat-
camera you'll never use.
it's a neat feature. I don't know if I'd use it,
I wouldn't use it either, but
but it's kind of
it's
cool.
quite
I'll give you
innovative,
that. It's
right?
got
I
some-
mean, it is flashy.
It's got
I
cool
think
factor.
it's Apple worth.
Well,
it's
you-
the kind
you-
of crap Apple would put on a phone.
Well, I don't know. I
It's
don't know.
distraction
Yes.
for it's distraction
Apple's
for
more-
people.
Bling,
It's
Apple's
distraction for
Apple's
people.
more about simplicity, though.
It's distraction for the people that want a new toy to buy a new toy.
Yeah, and
I haven't seen any kind of weird feature on an Apple device like that. That's kind of out there. That's the kind of thing that Apple would never put on their device until it was. And that's what it comes back to, is that someone said that Apple is supposed to be innovating, and then I said no. They've only innovated maybe 3 times, like truly innovated, when they invented the mouse, and when they
They didn't invent the mouse. They
Yeah.
stole it from.
wow.
They have never invented anything. There's a guy out there that will give $100,000 to anybody who will prove
Oh
that
yeah, we
Apple
had that.
has invented something. They took someone else's idea and they made it better. They made it saleable. I'll give them all those things, but they did not invent the mouse.
The iPod.
They took somebody else's technology and they
Repackaged.
and I
If you do you
the
count the
iPod,
Walkman? Do you count the Walkman as someone else's technology?
No, that was Sony, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sony. There were others too.
There was other
I
MP3 players
owned,
before the
I owned
iPod
an
came out.
MP3 Creative.
The circular dial on
Okay,
that was
but
an
that's
innovation.
not inventing.
That's
the
not that's an
technology.
innovation of a product that already exists. It's
No,
not
that's an
innovating.
innovation of a user interface.
Okay, and I'll give
Yes,
you all
I'll
of
give you
that to
that.
make it
It's an
saleable,
innovation, not an
but
invention.
it is not an invention. And you know
No,
what?
I would say that's an invention. People
No.
invent things like that all the time.
I don't know, but it's like dials. They weren't new. They just found a different application
Oh,
for it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
So
but
it's
you can
not.
still,
It's not an invention
I will
that
give
way.
you that before Apple MP3s like Creative. I owned a Creative.
I had an
MP3.
iRiver.
Okay, and
I had a different one too.
I downloaded stuff. I was listening to music. I listened to podcasts.
Yeah,
I listened to
I
book
had one too.
with my little tiny Creative MP3 player.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time I ever bought an Apple product was when that teeny tiny little
The iPod?
The Nano, yeah.
the Nano.
Mm-hmm.
When that came out, I went, holy shit. And I went down and I bought it right away. And the friggin' thing, I put it on to random. And the friggin' thing played the same 10 songs over and over and over. And I thought, what a piece of shit. And then I talked to my buddies because I worked in high tech, and they said, oh yeah, that's what it does. So I had to listen to all of one. If I either I had to build my own mix. Do I have time for that? Or I listened to all of Bob Dylan, and then I listened to all of the Beatles, and then I listened to
What, it
all
wouldn't
of
do
the
truly random?
whatever. No. So it would play. So you would turn it on, and it would play the same 10 for some period of time. I don't know. Don't remember, like a day or something. And then one day you turned it on, and it had a new 10. Oh yes,
doesn't sound right to me.
It was. Trust me, because
no.
I was so disappointed in this thing.
This is the iPod Nano?
That was the first Nano.
Wow.
And then I went out and started whining all over the internet, and they said, oh, yeah, that's it.
Really?
It may have been 15, but it
wasn't truly
apparently
random.
They couldn't get a random number generator right. And I thought, huh?
Well, it
And
may
I
have been a
paid
first
like $100 and
generation,
some
but-
odd bucks for this thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
anyway, so that's one of the reasons why I wrote them off.
yeah. Well,
And went back to my little Creative, my ugly red Creative, that the back of the battery thing fell off, so I had it taped with Scotch tape.
So Apple doesn't innovate. We've established that, but what they do is they bring a product to market
Oh,
at
They
the
market
Absolutely.
very well.
at
Absolutely.
the right time when the public is ready to adopt it, and
Or
when-
they can convince the public
I mean,
that it is the right time.
Just to
I
go
give
back
them
to Andrew's comment, I will give them the UI part though. They have user interface. They
Yeah.
have done a great job.
yeah,
no doubt.
on almost every product that they have, the user interface is
that.
good.
Oh yeah,
It's good.
but for the most case, they didn't invent that either. They borrowed it from somebody else. And does Windows do that? Oh yeah. Does Google do that? I think they innovate more than anybody else does, but they all do.
Yeah, I mean they're all leapfrogging each other. The
R&D, research and duplicate.
Yeah.
So
And
It's
you know
interesting.
what? I don't have any issue with them doing that, but I just don't want to listen to those obnoxious Apple fanboys.
Yeah, but
going
okay, I've got
on and
you know.
on
But
and
don't
on.
the Google fanboys do that too? I mean, you
Not
put
as
out
much.
you
Oh,
put
on
out
a-
a
in
few
a
posts.
real
You put
technical-
out in the past week a few posts in on your Facebook page that was saying how great Android is compared to the.
Oh, I know,
Apple.
but I just did that to be
and,
obnoxious.
and you did that right after a post that you said, "Okay, Apple fanboys, your phone's coming out, but don't tell me on all how good it is." And then you proceeded to say
I did.
several times how bad it is.
No, I was being obnoxious.
Yeah, no, I know it's good. It's fun to do that on social media.
No, I mean, I'm not perfect, and sometimes I do it just to poke other people.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you just make it too easy.
Well, yeah. I
Me?
mean, like,
I do.
No. The you
well,
know.
the other guys, yeah.
yeah.
But I think it was Bob that put it the had the post out. It's like welcome to 2012 and comparing
Yes,
the
Nexus
iPhone
4.
6 to the Nexus 4, and it's
And
like
actually, you know, to be honest, when I was watching the keynote, I was, and they started talking about some of those features, like the notification thing and all that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's another Android feature.
yeah, I had that. Well, even the
And-
even the last iOS update last year, it's like it came out, and I was talking with the Apple fanboy I used to know, and they'd be like, "Hey, look at this! You can do this now." It's like, yeah, my phone's been able to do that for over a year.
Actually, you know what? They borrowed quite a bit from BlackBerry 10.
Did they?
Ah,
Yeah, they borrowed for iOS 7. They borrowed from.
See, and
BlackBerry
again,
10.
I don't have any issue with that. Just don't tell me it's the second.
Hey, don't tell
coming
me
of
it's brand
Christ.
new when we've had it for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's like you have it now too. Awesome, that's great. I'm happy
Okay,
for you.
and you like it, whatever. You know, you want to put bling on your
But
little
you didn't
iPhone.
create it.
Okay, so we've talked about this before off the air when we weren't recording, but I just want to bring this up again. Why, if Android has 80% market share, because they do now, worldwide they have 80% market for smartphones,
Yep.
but they've only got like 1% of the podcast listenership.
Yeah.
Why?
That's bad. Well, that's because of iTunes, isn't it? The iTunes is one of the is.
Well, I mean Google, but with the exception of Google Listen, which was kind of this crappy app that you could listen to podcasts and other audio content. They haven't done anything to support podcasting, whereas Apple.
But Stitcher does, right?
Stitcher's not Google.
No, but so everything. I mean.
I mean, Google may have the attitude that we'll just let third parties handle it.
Yeah. So I mean, Excel is not Google, and it's not
But
Apple.
here's the point, though, in terms of podcasting. If you've never heard of a podcast, or maybe you've heard of a podcast, you know what it is, but you've never actually experienced it and don't actually realize that there's a lot of great value in discovering audio content or video content that is delivered directly to your phone automatically, then really, are you going to be, if you're someone who hasn't discovered the value of it, are you going to search for Stitcher? Are you going to search for Downcast?
I think so, because more people now are attracted to podcasts, and
Once they discover it, but once they already know what it's like. But there's a ton of people, like not techie people like us, who don't know what a podcast is. It's getting less and less common now, where people don't know what the word means, or don't have any idea what the word means. But quite often they have a general idea, but they don't quite.
Okay, so
understand it.
my podcast clients also publish on a website,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where most of the people download it from or listen to it from, is their website. Although it's on iTunes and Stitcher,
Yeah.
also, most of the readership comes from the website. Now, they don't have 100,000 listens like some of the big podcast guys do.
It's always going to be when someone's, not always, but when someone's first starting out, if they've got traffic on their website, their downloads or their listens are going to be from their website to start. Until they get some traction in iTunes and Stitcher and whatnot, then it'll reverse.
Yeah,
No,
and we are
I know.
publishing there.
And the thing is, you're getting one-offs from the website. But then when the next episode comes back, they have to remember to come back the next week or the
Oh no, we've got people. We've got RSS. We've got RSS, just like what would be a podcast. And
but if they're playing it from the website, then they're not RSS subscribers.
They see a new post on
on Feedly or something. So they're subscribing through an RSS reader, but not to a podcatcher.
No, that's correct.
Yeah.
It is because it's from the website.
Yeah.
And it's embedded in the website.
And how many people, average people, use RSS readers?
Going back to what Andrew said, I think what Apple has done, and I have to grant them this, and when it comes to podcasting and music, they really understand the psychology of music and podcasting.
Yeah.
If I was I don't listen to music on my phone. I listen to my music on my desktop. But those who listen to music on the go naturally have a tendency of picking out an iPhone. Like my wife she totally resonates with iPhone simply because of the music.
Yep.
And again, I know what Bonnie's talking about. It's a roundabout, scenic route to podcasting. But it's not. We're not spoon feeding them. Stitcher does it. Stitcher comes fairly close. That's Android's answer. But
no.
But iTunes has
a third party,
is a built-in functionality.
Yeah.
I mean, we have.
But okay, here's the difference. What Apple did, because we're still on that topic of why isn't podcasting taken off on Android. Apple put it into iTunes so that when somebody does a search for a topic, it'll come up with apps, it'll come up with podcasts, it'll come up. So people that use iTunes, like the desktop iTunes, are discovering podcasts just by typing in a topic, cooking lessons, and then comes up with some apps, and it comes up with some podcasts, it comes up with iTunes University listings and whatever else is there. So people are like, oh, what's this podcast? And they click on it, and they play it, and they subscribe. And all of a sudden, they've now experienced their first podcast. Then they start searching for other ones.
Totally.
Now, on the Apple iOS devices, they made the Apple Apple iOS podcast app a suggested app, so that when you first set up your iPhone and you're just starting out, it brings up this list of about 12 apps that Apple suggests, and they're all Apple apps, like their iBooks, iBooks I think is now baked in, but the whole bunch of different apps that you can download for free that they recommend, and the podcast app is one of them. So people who have never been exposed to podcasts have their new iPhone, they download these free apps, and then they look at this little symbol with this RSS symbol, and they're like, "What's this?" And they open it, and they do a search, and they're like, "Wow, I can listen to all this stuff when I'm driving my car, when I'm working out, when I'm walking the dog, whatever." And now with iOS 8 coming out in a couple of weeks, it's not even going to be a suggested app. It's going to be baked into the phone. Can't remove it. The podcast app is a natively included app. So it's just going to skyrocket even more, because all these people that get their new iPhones are going to have this app built into their phone on the main screen there, and they're gonna check it out. They're gonna discover podcasting for the first time, and podcasting is gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. But in the meantime, if Google's sitting back and saying, we've got 80% of the market share, Apple's got 20%. We've got like almost nobody listening to podcasts on our devices. Shouldn't they do something like even on the desktop side, on the search side? Why not just put a podcast category in the search, just like they have images?
I don't have a. I don't know.
So then people would say, okay, we're doing a search and then podcasts. Okay, well, here's all the podcasts that talk about the exact thing I'm looking for. It'd be awesome. People would discover podcasts even quicker. But on the Android side, they should have something. They should have something that's in your face, so that, and it's good promotion, because look at all the people look at all the podcasters, and even the Bunker Project. Yeah. Do we when we say subscribe to us? Do we say, hey, subscribe to us in iTunes? because it's the smartest thing to do because nobody else is listening.
Okay, so I'm probably one of the biggest consumers of podcasts, and I have for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And iTunes isn't. I don't even think about iTunes because I have nothing. I have nothing but trouble with it on my desktop, and I have a
I refuse to
reasonably
install iTunes.
new desktop that is, fully patched, no crap on it. The only product I have trouble with these days is iTunes, and I regularly get rid of it on my system because it's just a piece of crap, and it causes all sorts of other problems. So I listen to other podcasts, and it doesn't bother me to go and find them. Most of the time, I just go to their website and listen to it while I'm doing something else. I don't often download because I don't have a long commute. Once in a while, I have maybe Twit or something on my phone in case I'm going to be on the bus for an hour.
See, that's interesting. I never listen to podcasts on a website unless I'm randomly discovering a new website that happens to have a podcast. I'll hit the play button. But if I like it, I'll subscribe on my phone.
Wow. No, see, I don't use my
I've
phone
got
for
some
that.
Bluetooth speakers I can set up at home, and I just play it through that. But I just rather have it on my phone because then I've got it, and if I want to, it's portable.
Okay.
If I listen to half an episode,
I don't listen to it on my tablet either. I would listen to it on my tablet. My phone is just for when I'm away, and I want to, do something. Usually social media.
But wouldn't it be more convenient to just have everything on your phone? Because then if you're listening to an hour-long podcast and then you have to go away, you just take it with you, keep listening, or you just resume half an hour after, when you're in between meetings or at the doctor's office or waiting for an appointment or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't done it that way. It probably is better. I wouldn't have iTunes on my phone.
No, well, you don't.
Absolutely, there is no
iTunes.
way.
There is no iTunes.
I wouldn't do it anyway.
Although
it would just wreck my phone.
Apple, I think that would be a good move for Apple to bring out iTunes for Android.
But I'm not that dumb. I have Stitcher on
or
my
bring
phone.
out the App Store. Bring out the App Store so that people can.
Okay.
can
I actually have Stitcher on this phone, and I've got it on my tablet too.
Yeah.
And there's stuff on Stitcher I listen to regularly.
Yeah.
But I regularly go to somebody's blog to read or to YouTube now. I'm looking more right into YouTube than on their website.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only thing. Other than that, I read a blog on your blogs. If you're not on my Feedly, you don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. So, and I've got a lot of podcasts on my Feedly. So I just go into Feedly if I want to listen to something. If I'm going to do something that doesn't require my whole brain, then I just go into Feedly and find out who's got a new podcast. And so it's like iTunes,
yeah.
Only it works.
Yeah, it's a good system. It's just I just don't like the idea of being tied to my computer if I'm listening to a show.
No, you're right. And you use your phone.
You can have Feedly on your phone.
What's that? I probably do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I have Feedly on my phone.
Yeah, but sure, but as a way to consume podcasts and to then go on your mobile browser and play the podcast that way, no.
Yeah, that's probably more sophisticated than the way I'm doing it. But that's the way I've been doing it.
I wouldn't say it's more sophisticated. I'd just say that it would be more convenient.
So you have a button. What?
No, I just subscribe to podcasts in the Pocket Cast app. That's my podcatcher of choice. Pocket Casts, and then you
from iTunes. From iTunes?
On his phone.
No, it's an Android app. It's also an iOS app and maybe other
Pocket Cast.
Yeah, Pocket Casts. There's Pocket Cast.
So
there's Downcast. There's Dogcatcher. There's
so then you just go and subscribe the same way I subscribe to Feedly. Only it's a button.
It's a yes, but it's an interface of it's an interface of podcast episodes. So you do a search, you see the podcast of Women Talking Tech. Your album art would pop up, and you hit subscribe. From that point on, you're going to get every single episode.
So
Doesn't download it. It just notifies you that it's there, and you can either stream it or you can download it. So if you're at home on Wi-Fi, you can stream it. But I always just when I'm on Wi-Fi, I just download them all, and then I've got them on my device, and then as soon as you finish listening to it, it automatically deletes it.
Okay. Well, that's probably better than my Feedly.
It's definitely the way to go. I would say if you're really into podcasts, definitely.
But that's not iOS.
No,
I mean, that's a third-party app.
It's Android. It's Android.
Oh,
It's
okay.
well, they have an iOS and an Android app.
Podcatcher.
Pocket Cast, but Podcatcher is a general term for anything that can download podcasts.
Cool. As usual,
manage your
I learned
podcast
something new
list.
from you.
Yeah.
The Stitcher was being a bitch.
Stitcher is another podcatcher.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Yeah.
I have that actually.
So you could just use Stitcher if you want. And
I do.
Yeah.
I have
So
that
you
on my
wouldn't
tab
need-
and on my
They
phone.
just updated their app, and I'm so glad it did, because the one that was the version that was on there for the last few months used to actually hang up. Like, you just could not get rid of it. Even if you closed the task, you would actually had to, at least it did on my phone.
The only thing I don't like about Stitcher is that they compress the audio files because they don't actually use your web hosting. So if you're a podcaster and say you use Libsyn as the or Blueberry or whatever, or SoundCloud as your media host, Stitcher will download your file, but only once, and then they will host your file on their servers, and they compress it to make it less bandwidth for their system. But it does lower the quality just a little bit. So that's the only thing I don't like about Stitcher.
Just a quick small digression to embed podcasts into a WordPress website. What have you guys found most convenient besides Libsyn?
Well, Libsyn is the media host.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with the player.
Right.
So is that what you're talking about, the player?
Yeah.
I used the PowerPress plugin from
Okay.
Blueberry.
Okay.
It's the best. Now there's a whole bunch. There's some controversy, and this is actually would be another episode for another show, because some people, Rob Welsh from Libsyn, he doesn't recommend hosting your RSS feed on your WordPress site because your feed traffic can crash your podcast, and also if a plugin breaks your WordPress theme, like breaks your WordPress site, it breaks your feed, and then your podcasts aren't delivered. So he actually recommends using, if you're a Libsyn customer, to use their feed, and they guarantee that they'll never hold you hostage and that they'll redirect your feed if you ever decide to leave them or whatever. And they're one of the few companies that actually, say that I actually would trust. But that's something to think about too.
So you stream from your Libsyn account.
Yes.
The media is hosted and streamed from or downloaded from your media hosting company.
Not from Libsyn.
Libsyn is the media hosting is one of the media hosting companies. Yeah.
So we're doing that.
But when you're, depending on how you set up the podcast, you can set up the podcast to play on your WordPress site without it actually using the WordPress feed. You can use the FeedBurner feed. You can use the WordPress feed. You could use your media host's feed and still have it show up on WordPress and still have it. It's
because I'm doing a test project for a client. We haven't launched it yet. What I have is the actual MP4 file.
It's a video podcast.
No, sorry, your
MP3
MP3 file on Libsyn server, and then embedded into WordPress. But I don't like that system. I'm thinking there has to be a better way than doing that. But I can talk to you about that later.
Yeah, talk to me about it after. Moving on to while we're on the topic of podcasting and not very much activity in Google, what about apps? We talked about this in the past too, mainly off air, not too much on air. But how come the app marketplace is predominantly the apps come first to iOS, and then us Android users have to wait for the marquee apps for up
Well,
to
because
3 or 4.
Apple gives them a benefit and will feature them if they're iOS first.
Well, we don't know that for sure. We don't know that for sure.
No, that's what I've heard too.
I've heard that, but it's a rumor, and it's
No, it's not. I know actually developers who have actually done that. And what Apple will, the first question they ask you is that on Marketplace yet? Or develop for Marketplace? Have you guys had any talks? And then they'll actually hold off, let you hold off on Marketplace. I'm sorry, on
Google Play.
Google Play.
Yeah.
And then you put it on iOS, and then, so it's standard procedure.
So
It's not a rumor.
so Apple is more likely to feature your app in iTunes
You bet.
and the apps, or sorry, in the App Store, if you make it an exclusive app.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Alright.
how
there's
long
like
is that?
there's like a holdout period. I don't know whether it's like if they say 1 month or not, but there is a holdout period.
Okay. Well, that's
So if I
interesting.
find your app and it's a cool app and it's on iOS only, and I go to contact me, and I have a whole rant that I send them.
No, you can send them a rant. What I've seen is some developers, like especially like some quirky apps, they'll put them on the Apple ecosystem and then not put anything on Android, but have the Android app on their website. I don't know how they get away with that. I'm not sure.
Oh, so you can download it, but it's just
Yeah.
not
On the
available on
website.
the
It's just
Play
not
Store.
in the store.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
you
just-
could do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when you have 100,000 Twitter followers, they usually contact you back and
Yeah.
say something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. No, I was wondering if it's partially that, or is it the same kind of deal where we've got a bunch of people, 80% of the population that has smartphones have Android phones, but are the vast majority of those people not using it as a smartphone? Because that
But
could also be the
Android tablets too.
Yes. Same thing. My mom has an Android tablet. She doesn't. She doesn't. She would never know how to download a podcast on an Android tablet, and she would never know how to download an app. But she would use it for Facebook because we've already put the app there for her, and she might check her email on it.
That could be said for iPhone.
Yeah, but that's not your traditional customer, right?
No, but
This
the
is-
iPhone customer, the iPhone, those customers generally aren't buying iPhones because they're more expensive. They're the type of people that are getting a smartphone just because they can get one for free
Yep.
on their contract. They never would have got a smartphone if they had to pay $300 for it.
Yep, or $600 or $1,000.
Well, I mean, on a contract. So it's one of those things. It's interesting that.
See, I don't know why, because Android has
Well-
like 80% of the market. So why would you develop for 20% of the market? Maybe the fact that that Apple is one of the most valuable companies.
Well, it's like let's say there was a car manufacturer that had 80% of the market, but all the people that had their cars only drove their cars on Sundays.
Kia
But
or whatever.
but another car manufacturer, they drove their car to work every day. Why isn't anybody making tires for the other company? Because they never use them. They
I
never
don't
buy
know.
them.
Maybe the 20% will buy anything.
Not the. See,
I think
here-
it's it's like that 20% are the sheeple of the world, and they're trained to love that ecosystem and buy anything from that ecosystem, and they're
No,
you
I don't think it's that at all. I think that the vast majority of Android users don't even open the App Store, don't even use the phone as a smartphone other than maybe Facebook. They use it as a phone, and they never would have got a smartphone. They're more of a feature phone user. They're not a smartphone user.
I don't know. Most of the Android people I know use far more of their phone than they
I
ever would
know.
an iPhone.
But those are actually, and those are Apple's market. The other people aren't.
But
And-
those people have just migrated from Apple. I know 3 people that migrated from Apple, because truly every time somebody migrates from Apple who knows me, they send me an email, they send
Yeah.
me a Facebook something, and they say, I got an Android. I got a HTC.
I got the
I got a
Galaxy."
Samsung.
Yeah, and I know 2 people that in the past 8 months had migrated.
So,
No, not even
I
8
mean, I
months.
Oh,
hear
there's lots
this-
of people are doing it all the time, and especially, and this is why they brought it with the iPhone 6 Plus, especially because the
The
a lot
phablet-
of people
The phablet
want-
market is hot.
Yeah, a lot of people want bigger screen sizes, and it was Steve Jobs that had held Apple.
said nobody will ever buy one.
Well, he didn't say that. He just said that
Yeah, he
a
did.
smartphone should be able to be used with one hand and one hand only, and
Whatever. Which is
you know,
why I don't like Apple. Don't tell me what I want.
Exactly.
The market will.
I think
tell you.
I think it's the first time Apple's finally gone, "Oh, they actually want this. I guess we better give it to them."
Yeah, exactly.
So
And they did, and it's
Because
interesting.
everybody laughed at Samsung when they brought out the Note, but it's
Yeah,
like
I
they're
know.
really popular.
yeah. So I
yeah, they're popular, but they're not as popular as this. It's a little bit of a niche
It's-
product.
I know there was a
It's
whole
niche.
article I just we posted out recently was talking about just how the growth of the phablet market is actually quite phenomenal.
and that was Note. It wasn't Apple that was leading that charge.
No, Samsung.
It was Samsung.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and so we're talking about, putting something into the Apple Store before they put it anywhere else. And that's not just, stupid light up your phone apps. These are business apps. There was one, I don't remember what it did, but it was really an
Oh, the video one?
It was video, yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a really cool video app that I saw recently that what's his name from Convince and Convert, Bear,
okay.
Jay Bear.
I don't remember who it was, but there was one that was really good.
Yeah.
And I would have signed up for it, and then I looked at it and it said iOS, and so I sent them the what the hell? And so what I said to them too is, because I now know 2 people that are considering a Surface Pro 3.
Yeah.
They are going to, now they're early adopters, but they are considering Surface Pro 3 to be their main production machine.
Cool.
Because now you can put it into a docking station. So you can have a 23-inch monitor, you can have a good keyboard, you can have a mouse if you want, and then you just pick it up and carry it off. So that's Windows. And these people now are going iOS first, Android second, and then Windows? What the hell is Windows? And all of these people now...
Well, I mean, I would say that if it was Windows Phone, what the hell
Yeah,
is
phone
Windows?
I would agree with, but computer.
why-
But now
I
they're
mean,
going.
they're gonna be-
But now
why
they're
would you-
universal apps, so I would definitely do a Windows
Okay,
Phone.
but a Surface Pro 3 is something that I would regularly throw in my bag. I would just throw it in my bag because it's so light, and the battery life is...
Yeah, but
and
now
I
that
can take it out of the docking station, throw it into my bag, and I would do that all the time.
it makes sense, but because now it's going to be universal apps, right? The apps that are on the Windows phones are going to work on the Windows RT and are going to work on Windows Pro. So on the modern side of the Pro. So if a developer develops an app for Windows, they're developing an app for the entire Windows ecosystem. So it totally makes sense now. But before that, a developer would be like, is it worth my time to make an app for a phone that's got less than 2% of the market?
That's right.
And I have to develop it's a totally different interface, and I don't know.
Just going back to what I said earlier, when I was shocked to hear that Apple does this, I asked the developers, I'm like, so what is your rationale? And they said, well, if Google doesn't make you wait for Apple, and eventually you're going to launch both Google and Apple, what difference does it make which one you launch first? So might as well make one person happy.
Well, they're just trying to make money.
Right.
Well, no,
Except a customer like me, they lost a customer.
No, you didn't.
but
because
Yeah, but you're crankier than the average customer.
no, but
That's
here's
right.
the thing. Here's the thing, and here's the rationale.
Average
And this
customer will go
is
for
this is the same as with podcasts. It's the same with anything. apps and podcasts, if you get featured, I'm not talking about new and noteworthy. If you get actually featured on the front page of iTunes, you get thousands and thousands and thousands of downloads, like tens of thousands of downloads if you're on the very front page of iTunes.
Just like
So
maybe even
how
hundreds of
long are you
thousands
there?
of downloads.
Who
How long
cares?
you-
They're going to make a ton of money, and as a new app, and I don't blame them for doing it.
Okay.
So if I was a developer of a new app and I had an opportunity, or even a chance that I was going to get featured, if all I did was delay the Android app, I would do it, because you're
It's
talking
good, it's
about
good business sense.
you're talking about a hockey stick in growth. Versus if you don't get featured, then it's you doing the promotion, you trying to sell your app,
And all those early adopters,
who
like
cares?
me.
Who cares if a few people are ticked off? Really, as like you want all your customers to be happy, but you can't please everybody. And if you're talking about,
They're trying to make.
if
I
you're-
mean, they've got to do what's going to get them the biggest revenue in right away. And if this is obviously working for them, it's like, so be it. I don't, I
so
don't
it's
care.
in the Apple store.
yeah,
And I'm sorry, who friggin' cares?
All the Apple people.
and the developer who
I mean,
if
there's
they
And
get
still-
who
featured-
just a minute, who listens to Apple people?
Other Apple people.
Other Apple people.
There's
That's
still
all.
hundreds of
No, but it
millions.
comes back
Yeah,
to
but
the-
there's still hundreds of millions of them, and he's going to make a shitload of money, and
right.
that's their
Apple-
job.
App-
Their
App-
job is making money.
Totally.
and yeah, you're in
think
business not for anything else, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, you want to provide a good product, you want to get it out to people, but if nobody
Ultimately-
sees it, they're not going to. It's
Yeah,
not going to get out to
ultimately
people.
they need to make money. So it's like, yeah, it's shitty for Android people. Get over it. We know, it's like
No,
just,
No,
You
I
know
think
what?
I
There's
totally agree.
less-
No, I totally agree with Margaret. The bottom line is they need to make money, and they're thinking, okay, I have to either put my left foot first or right foot first. If like right foot is insistent saying it has to go first and then the left, then so be it. Like at the end of the day, if they're featured and they make and I
also
agree.
the other on the other side, even if you're not featured, my question is, are you going to make more sales on iOS? So if you have the resources to develop one at a time, if you're going to make more sales on iOS, if the customers are there, you're going to develop there first, and then after you get the app in there, then you do an Android one. It makes
well,
sense.
I mean, hasn't there all?
But having said that, being an Android user, I think the last time we met, I said that I'd found like 3 apps that I wanted. I couldn't get because they were
Yeah.
iOS only. Since then, I found another one. Awesome. It's Jay Bears from Convince and Convert.
Okay.
He does a video podcast, and he uses this app, and I can't remember the name of it right now. I'll put it in the show notes. It's a really simple name, but what it does is you record, a little video of yourself with the iPhone, and it puts your logo on the left of you, and whatever message you want on there, the name of your show and all that, and you just record it, and then you're done. And you can have like little intro and outro and stuff come up automatically. It's like really, really cool, like slick, awesome. I can't find anything like it on Android.
Okay, so first off, iOS is losing market share. It has lost market share for like the last 2 years. I don't have the current number, but they are losing market share. And OS X is at about 7% of the desktop market and has stayed at 7% for years.
Since the beginning, yeah.
At least 2 or 3 years.
It's always been.
So it's not. It's a very small part of the.
I know, but isn't it been proven that Apple mobile users are more willing to buy an app than Android users?
But
They are.
Are they frivolous apps or are they business?
It doesn't
Doesn't
matter.
matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's just
Yeah, it does. If you've got
No,
a
it
business
doesn't.
app,
Nope,
it
nope.
sure the hell does
At the end of
matter.
At the end of the day,
it's only a
the
short
revenue.
period of time.
You're comparing
We're not
revenues.
talking
Nobody
years.
cares whether
Okay,
it's a
the
game,
only
app.
people that have apps, we're gonna get crucified for this. Truly, the only people that have Macs are the Starbucks crowd. Give me a break.
No,
No.
there's lots of people.
There's
that-
plenty.
so
There's plenty of
lots of,
graphics designers. It's like okay, Bonnie, mellow out. It's like we know you don't like it.
I don't think
but,
is
it's like, really,
Randall a Starbucks crowd guy?
He's not a Starbucks
isn't,
crowd
but
guy
he's
at
an-
all.
I
He's an
wouldn't-
accountant.
I totally agree with Margaret. I as much as I'm Android and I'm anti-Apple, I wouldn't.
Are you
Rub-
anti-Apple?
I'm not
I'm
even
not.
anti-Apple.
No.
But just for the sake of arguing, I'm not going to argue and say that they're bad in all areas. You know what I mean?
No.
There are certain
They have a
areas that
purpose.
they
There's
do have
hundreds
credit.
of millions of people. Obviously, they're making money. This is a business
Well, if
choice.
you
I
wanna-
don't blame them for making it.
Okay,
if
but-
you want to look at the money, they're making by far. If you want to say that Android has 80% of the smartphone market share, Apple has like 90% of the smartphone profits.
Because people on
In the
Apple
industry.
buy apps.
Not just that, not just the apps. People buy products with margin, whereas on probably 99% of the smartphones sold on the Android platform are very low margin.
Yeah.
They're the
And they're lower cost.
entry level
Because
phones.
they go to iOS first.
No, the
No.
Okay,
phones.
so
The-
the
no,
phones.
the
The
phone.
phones.
The phones cost less. There's less of a
The
margin.
hardware themselves
So
is
of course,
cheap
Apple's
hardware.
higher price. They're making a bigger profit because they're charging more. And
Well,
you
they
know,
make a
yeah.
huge margin
in
on
the
they
end-
make a huge margin on the and they just came out with a phone that's even higher margin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're most
$1,100.
expensive on a contract. It's $500. It's going to be like $1,100 probably in Canada for the.
But most people are on
128 gigabyte.
contract and they have no idea what that phone cost.
Well, they do when
They
they
will
break their
now.
phone.
They will now.
Yeah.
They
When
do
they
when they
which?
break their phone. When they drop it in
Okay,
water.
but that's not when they're making a decision. They're making a decision
No,
when they
but an
go
Apple-
to a 2
but
year
but a hardcore
contract.
Apple person drops their phone in the water, or the phone gets stolen off of the SkyTrain. They go into the Apple store the next day and they shell out $1,000 without even thinking about it.
Not everybody.
Because they have to have
No.
that.
No, I know
phone.
Not
somebody who went to Android from
No,
I know.
but we're not
from
talking
her
about. We're not
because
talking.
her antenna
Yeah, no,
broke.
No, we're
But
talking
that's the
about the
minority.
hardcore. We're talking about the hardcore Apple fanboys. They're not going to go to Android when they lose their iPhone. They're going to go and buy another iPhone.
Yeah.
But it's same thing in a hardcore Android. If you lose your Android phone, you're not going to say, "Oh, I'll get an iPhone instead." So, but
No, but I wouldn't necessarily get a Nexus.
no.
I would look around at different phones, especially since I'm paying.
Okay.
full
Anyway,
price.
I'm really bored with this conversation because we're just
Okay.
going around
And
in
just
circles,
one
and
more-
there are no points more to be
Okay.
made.
Yeah, there is one more point to be made. I found 3 things that were only available on iOS. So it got me started. Oh, what do I... So I went and I found something that is, in fact, on, in this case, Windows, because I wanted it as a, for my desktop. And guess what? I bought it.
Yeah.
So there is... And I'm not the only one.
Well, there's
Even
always
if you
exceptions
don't
to the
like-
rule.
Even if you don't like, or you're not anti-iOS, if you see something and you think, oh shit, I wouldn't mind having that, and it's not available on whatever platform you have, you're probably going to go out and look for something else.
Yeah.
I think that's, so if for no other reason,
Well,
that happens.
like I said, I'm not married to Android or any other platform, and but I
Neither am
I
I.
do really like Android right now for a few reasons. I don't, and some of them are kind of silly because I don't do it. It's not something I do every day. But one of the things I like is that I can buy, say if I'm in the Kobo app or the Kindle app, I can buy a book in the app. I don't have to log out of the app, go to the browser, go to Kindle.com or Kobo.com, and then sign into my account, download the app, and then or buy the book and then download it in the app. That's what you have to do on iOS. And also the share bar. Android, you can share from any app to any app, and it's just like this huge list. Whatever you have, depending on how many apps you have, you've got this huge share bar, and you can just share from OneNote to Evernote, from whatever to whatever.
The fact that you don't have to sign into iTunes and sync and do all this stupid shit.
You don't have to do that on an iPhone either.
Well, you used to have to if you didn't have as much
You
flexibility.
used to have to,
But still, there was
now
a
it's
great
all-
article I read earlier. It's like somebody who had been an Apple fanboy and then, got onto Android and they had been using iTunes and then they got onto Google Play and realized how much better the streaming music was. And it's like, they're, totally now confirmed. And they said, you don't even think about Google being like a music streaming, but they said their music streaming is far better. And it says, and he saves tons of money over not having to buy all the songs on iTunes. and is his systems working?
Actually, if your iPhone does go into recovery mode, you do need iTunes, but you don't really need it anymore for anything else. You can do the software upgrades over the air now.
You couldn't before?
No,
No,
before
you couldn't before.
before iOS 7, I think it was iOS 7,
Okay.
you had to plug it into iTunes to upgrade the software. Most of the
You
people
mean plug?
You'd have to plug it into your computer to sync.
and
What?
through iTunes, not to sync, but to upgrade the software on the phone. Now you can do
mean
over
like-
the air.
You used to have to do on BlackBerry?
Yeah,
Holy
I never plugged my BlackBerry in.
Oh, I did. Oh.
Probably didn't know I was supposed to.
Holy crap! I didn't know that.
Yeah, you would have had to do that. So now it's all over the air. But if you do go into recovery mode with that little symbol saying insert to iTunes, then you need iTunes in order to get your phone working again. Because if your phone goes into that mode, it needs to be basically a crash and it needs to be restored, and you can only do it by
So
through
that
iTunes.
would be the equivalent of like holding your two and doing a recovery on your Android. Is that the same
no,
thing?
because you can do that on iPhone too. That's a different thing. That's like the equivalent of I don't know what it is the equivalent of on.
So
on Android.
upgrade. So this thing, I mean, it one of the reasons why it's pure Google because it just updates itself, and then it tells me what it did.
Yep.
So when I get brand new version of Android,
Yep.
it just happens because
Android Lion.
No, for example, like when I went from Jelly Bean to KitKat, like I had to connect it to Samsung keys and then do the firmware upgrade.
What?
I never did that.
I never did.
When I have Samsung, you just go into settings at the back and you say upgrade.
And then it did that for
It
you?
just goes over the air.
I never had to. I never had to.
I never
plug
played
in.
with keys.
That
I looked at
Samsung
it and
keys
went,
was a horrible.
I
what
know.
the hell?
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that they really messed that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you can do it over the air.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been very upset.
I was trying to figure out a parallel for a Samsung equivalent of that.
Oh.
Okay, so let's scratch that. Let's move on to the next topic because we're getting a little bit long in the show here. Let's do the iWatch. When I was watching the keynote, I was pretty impressed with the iWatch. I thought for a first gen product, it looks pretty good. It actually reminds me of the first generation iPhone. It's not something that I think I'd be interested in, really, because you really need an iPhone to get to make the most use out of it. But what's her name from This Week in iPad? One of the Twit personalities. There was Leo Laporte and Mike Elgin, and then this girl, and then this other guy from 5x5 Network. I can't remember his name either. But anyways, she made a really good point. She said that she was looking at it and she says, it's really the iPod Nano, an upgraded iPod Nano repackaged. And when you look at it, it's like, yeah, it kind of is. So it's kind of interesting. Kind of like the Kickstarter with that, where you could buy a watch band for your iPod.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, and that's for the cost of the wristband. Because one of my Facebook buddies, we met for coffee. We had never met face to face. We met for coffee, and I went, "Oh, cool! What kind of a watch is that?" And she said, "Oh no, it's just my iPod with a wrist." She said, "It's cool," and it cost her almost nothing more than the iPod, which she already had.
Yeah.
So she's not spending $600. She so it isn't. It's wireless
the iWatch starts at $349.
Okay.
It's coming out in early 2015.
Yeah.
It from what I could see and from listening to the people, the Twit people watching it, they said that it's clear that they're at least 2 generations ahead of anybody else in the wearables market. They were very impressed with it. It does look pretty cool. I have to say.
There was somebody else, a couple of other people that said they liked some other kind of watch. I don't wear a watch, I don't know.
So you were
would.
somebody was saying that they like a
There
different
is another
smartwatch.
brand, and I can't remember what brand it was.
So there's
for
the Pebble,
usability.
there's the Pebble, there's the Galaxy Gear, there's
Wasn't Galaxy Gear.
no, there's quite a few of them. But
Anyway, I wouldn't buy any of them.
yeah, no, I wouldn't buy this one, but it got me thinking that it got me interested. It did get me interested.
So what's the features? What's the benefit of it?
Well, notifications for one, so you get your notifications on your watch, but the little crown on the side, like it's like the thing that would normally wind an old-fashioned watch, that you can zoom in on a map and zoom out. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do with it.
Okay, I still can't do that when I'm driving. I better not be doing that when I'm
No,
driving.
but you could control your podcasts. You could do also but not when you're driving. But say if you're on the train or if you're just hanging out or whatever.
Okay,
and they ended up making it pretty. It's a little bit thick. It's a little bit. I don't want to say clunky looking, but they had to make it that big for the battery to last. But it's nice, and the way that you can customize it with all the different colors and the bands and everything. It's probably the best looking one out of all the.
No,
watches.
I probably think that's probably true. Why would I just not pick my phone out of my bag or off my and just do that?
Well, because one of the big things is health and fitness, and a lot of people are using Fitbits
and
the Nike Band. And this thing has on the inside, it's got 4 sensors that can measure your heart rate and your
So
all your activity.
I can see
throughout the
fitness
whole
and
day.
health activities,
No,
but
I can see
the
that.
fact that you have to have an iPhone in order to use it kind of reminds me of the ill-fated BlackBerry tablet that you could only use if you also had a BlackBerry.
Well,
So
actually, that wasn't true, but they marketed it that way, and they made a big mistake doing that. No, you could use the playbook without a BlackBerry, no problem.
but I thought you couldn't get emails on it unless you had a BlackBerry.
When they first launched it, yes, there wasn't a separate email app.
Hasn't
had to have a
Nike
BlackBerry.
had something
But later
like
you
that for a long time?
Yeah, but Nike.
Like something in there.
Nike,
Oh, they have a
Nike-
Fitbit, yeah.
Nike ceased development of all of their band. Tim Cook sits on the Nike board, and I'm sure that they've now all their research and development is going into the iWatch now, or the Apple Watch.
Okay.
Yeah, but they still support their existing product, but they're not doing any more on that. So I think they've
And there are other medical devices.
one or at least one other one major person from Nike, one of the top people from Nike is now an Apple employee too. So they're doing some kind of cross development, and I think that Nike's being incorporated into Apple in terms of that side of the technology side of it.
I can see that. I mean, I can see that.
Yeah.
Because when they put the little thing in your shoe, when you put it onto onto your shoe, and then when you got home, you can do something with it, so it tells you stuff. I mean, and that was a while ago, and I thought, okay, you know what? That's cool. Told you how far you ran, how fast you
I
ran.
have that in S Health. It's on my phone. It's automatic. It tells me how many steps I run. I walk
remember
every
you
day.
saying that. Okay.
Yes. So
that's cool. And there's a company in Calgary that has already developed a thing to put in your shoes for diabetics.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to talk to, and I don't remember what. I think it maybe stores the information, and then, or it goes through Wi-Fi or something. So there's lots of companies, and I understand that, but.
So there's the health and fitness thing. There was a few other things they talked about too that were pretty compelling. I'm not ready for one myself, but
I don't even want to wear a watch.
Yeah, I don't wear a watch
I don't
either.
even want to wear a manual
I used to
watch.
wear a watch for ages until
So did I.
until I got my smartphone.
Yeah,
Then
I have no desire for any of the wearables. It's at this point, I just don't see the purpose of it for me.
I'm sure there's a reason, but it makes no sense to me.
I mean, yeah, people are going to be into it. Fine, that's cool.
One thing that was kind of neat, and this is going to sound kind of cheesy, but for directions while you're walking, there's like sensors on the bottom of your iWatch, forest sensors that sense your heart rate and all that kind of stuff. But when you're walking, there's a different. It's like a tap on the wrist, so it feels just like you're being tapped on the wrist, and so you get a different tap when you when you need to turn left, and a different tap when you need to turn right. So if you said, okay, I got to get from point A to point B, you're walking along and you get to a street and you get the tap for going right, then you just turn right, and you get the tap for going left, you turn left. So at first I thought that's kind of silly, but then I thought about it. I thought that's kind of neat, actually.
Can't it talk?
It's kind of neat, but it is kind of silly.
Well, I mean, yeah, but nobody else can hear it. It's like, and you can send messages the same way. You can send kind of coded messages through the watch through that.
Ooh, a Dick
tap
Tracy
thing.
watch.
Yeah, it is kind of neat, and you can control your iPhone screen.
Well, let's face it, it's a toy.
To get better
It
get better selfies, you can control your iPhone screen from your watch.
I mean, yeah, it's a toy.
It is.
It is a toy, but
It'll be a fun toy,
Come on.
but it's a toy.
Yeah. And
Aren't
it's
they all?
not-
These are
I
all
am not
toys.
I am
These are all
not the
toys.
niche for that.
I don't know. I mean, but I run a lot of my work off of this as far as being connected. So, I mean, that's not a toy. Parts of it are toys, though.
Yeah, but other than your email and maybe a couple of business apps.
Email, social media, and phone texting are pretty essential. Everything else is just toys.
Yeah, and you could get that
Or
on
the banking
almost
stuff's
any
pretty
phone.
good.
You
And
could get
yeah.
get most of that stuff on any phone. So the and certainly on a less powerful phone. So yeah, I'd say your phone is probably about 50% or more toy.
oh, at least.
Yeah, but last topic of the night is Apple Pay, and this one was the one that I thought was really interesting.
That's kind of interesting, but still, it's like, again, it's going to only end up being a small part of the market. So I don't really know.
Okay, so why do you think it's going to be a small part of the market?
Because Apple's not in the entire market.
Yeah, they're losing market
So,
share.
so I mean, if I mean, if you want to pay with your phone, that's cool. But until it's like I'd be more interested to find out if I can pay on my phone.
So
I'm never
you
going to
said-
have an iPhone, so
You said they're 20% of the market. So let's assume that everyone in the Starbucks lineup,
Oh no, there's going to be
20% of them have an iPhone, but 80% of those people in the lineup do not have an Android or do not have
No,
iOS.
but
they have Android. So if there's 10 people, 2 of them, and I'm being real generous now, 2 of them will be able to pay, and I think actually Starbucks has signed up.
Yep.
So 2 of them out of the
maybe not
10, 20 out of 100, whatever you want, are going to pay with this. Let's say, some small percentage of those doesn't quite know how to use it. So, and then the rest of the people can't pay that way.
No, anyone would know how to use it. It's super simple.
Okay.
But
I think it's like it's cool, it's interesting technology, but until it spreads to other
there's
other operating
security
systems,
issues
I
that
I don't care.
actually, the security they talked about, and I thought this was really neat. What they do is they've got this new chip in the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus and the watch that are, it's called the secure element, and it's a piece of hardware that's encrypted. And what you do is you can actually take a picture of your credit cards, and verify through your bank that you own that card. And then once it's in your secure element, Apple doesn't have access to that. It's completely locked down, encrypted. And when you make
So they're going to have a secure element for nude selfies?
well,
I wasn't gonna go there,
that is information. And no, you should go there because actually that's what people are saying. There's all
Me
sorts.
too.
There's people are saying, well, should we trust you with our credit cards? Well, if you have an iPhone, they already have your credit card. Or if you've ever had an iPhone.
I never gave iTunes my credit card, ever.
Okay, well, you gave them
I won't even
you
give
gave them a
Google
prepaid
my
card.
credit
No,
card.
I didn't give them anything.
a prepaid
No,
card.
No, I did not have to give them anything.
iTunes card. gift
No,
cards. You never
nothing.
You never bought an app?
Nope.
Okay, well.
But I had an iTunes account. I downloaded free apps.
Yeah.
But I never bought anything from them.
Okay.
Okay.
But
so-
interesting now, because I know someone had has a new phone, and and they were told the Apple Store that they have to put their credit card in, even if they're never going to buy anything.
No, sometimes it comes up like that, and you just have to redo it, and you can. There's 3 options, 4 options, and the 4th one is none.
After you get them to look at that again, because I thought, well, that's weird.
But sometimes, because I do these every day, set these up, and sometimes it comes up without the none. And then you have to redo the whole thing. Usually the user just says, I'll just put mine in or whatever, because I'm just going to buy apps anyways.
Okay, so let's assume that it is quite secure. Nothing is 100% secure.
Well, this is as secure as it can get, apparently.
Oh, okay, so let's just say it is as secure
I know,
as
but
it
okay,
can
but
get.
if we get NFC payments on Google, are you going to be freaking out?
I'm not going to use it.
Okay.
See,
I don't care who
see,
it
the
is.
thing is,
I'm not
the
going to
thing
use
is,
it.
I would use
But-
it. I would use it, and unless there was someone saying that this is a security risk. But with the way that they've done it is they've got the secure element. When you make a payment, it generates a one-time use number and verification code. So the merchant doesn't ever see your credit card number. Apple doesn't even see what you paid for the product, what you're purchasing. Apple doesn't get any of that information. And the merchant doesn't get your credit card number. It's really, really smart.
So
the way
what we're
they've done this.
saying is there's money involved. It's not even passwords. There's money involved, and there is not going to be a bad guy that's going to be
People are
able
going
to...
people are going to try and figure it out for sure.
No, I'm not saying try. What I'm saying is, are we at this point saying it's as secure as technology is today, and there is never going to be a bad guy that's going to be able
No.
to
There's
break
always going to
this?
be a bad guy. Don't be ridiculous.
No,
Okay,
we're not
so
saying that.
why are we?
Because
giving
millions
that-
of people are going
here's
to
the thing.
use it.
Here's the
There's going to be
thing.
millions of people that don't. So, like, each to their own.
No, but
it's
people
cool
go-
technology. So if they're going to use
People
it,
go
use
in
it.
every day and hand their credit card to a restaurant,
Which is
or-
not
or-
secure either.
Or
No, I
no, it's not
understand that.
secure. It's got this magnetic strip that can be cloned.
Yeah.
So now with this, I think people are going to jump all over it, and iPhone users are going to embrace it like there's no tomorrow. They're going to walk into a merchant, and they're going to put their phone next to this little thing that scans the phone, and they're going to authenticate with their fingerprint, and boom, payment done on whatever card they've chosen. So I think it's pretty cool, and nobody else has a system like this yet. So
Wasn't there an issue with the fingerprint? Was it not? Someone went in there and hacked it very quickly after it was announced.
there was something like that, yes. But the thing is, they'd also have to have your phone. They'd have to have also hacked your fingerprint. And as soon as you lose your phone, you just go to Find My Phone and wipe the phone.
So
and
do you have to
turn it
use
off.
their fingerprint, or you can use a password?
Well, I think you probably can, because on the iWatch you can pay too, and it doesn't have a fingerprint scanner.
Yeah,
So-
there has to be a password option then.
Yeah.
Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Pay with your phone if you want to. Don't if you don't.
Yeah. So this one I thought was really interesting. I think that, in terms of this technology, they've hit a home run on this one, I think. And the smartwatch, it's cool. It's a niche product, I think, and we'll see if it takes off. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it will. But it
Smartwatch,
seems
I
like
think the smartwatch is going to, if of any of them, I think the smartwatch, the whatever the hell they call it, Apple Watch,
the Apple Watch.
is going to be the most successful.
Okay. So if it's true that it's the most successful, it's going to increase iPhone sales, because in order to really use it, you need an iPhone.
6 or an iPhone?
An iPhone's no, it's backwards compatible back to the 5.
Okay, I don't. There's so many of them out there that, and it isn't that innovative.
I'd be surprised if anybody switches to Apple just to use
specifically
the watch.
for the watch, because if you've got an HTC, I think HTC has a watch. Samsung definitely has that Gear thing.
Yeah.
Who else?
But
there's
it's one of
other
those things. It's one of those things that once people start wearing them, and and they show their friends.
Yeah, okay, but how much are the watches?
They start at $349.
$349.
They
So
go
yeah.
up. They go
I
up
think you got to be.
So-
probably to thousands. 'Cause
Yes.
you can get them in gold, right?
Yeah.
So
it's-
yeah, so they're not cheap. And then it's like, so if you didn't have a phone, an iPhone, yeah, you're not going to spend $350 on a plus on
Could
a
be
watch
$2,000.
plus an iPhone, unless you have more money than brains. In which case, more power to you.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to increase, but I think an awful lot of iPhone users are going to buy them. I you know what? It's whatever. I'm not going to buy any brand, but there are certainly people that want outward, want the latest thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, we are always searching for more things to distract us, right?
I don't think these are early adopters. I think these are people who would buy the latest sweatshirt.
Yeah. $350 cashmere sweater.
Sweatshirts.
Yeah.
Or that purple stupid scarf. The kid with the terrible haircut. But I you know what? I think that's going to be.
So one of the headlines is Apple Pay the PayPal killer.
They're 20%
Their
of
stocks
the
fell.
market.
Their stocks fell, and
PayPal's?
PayPal stock fell. Yeah, because not only can you use it in a merchant, right? You can use it for online purchases as well.
Yeah, but what about, okay, it's like we take payment by PayPal. We're never going to take payment by Apple phone.
No. We don't even take it by Google.
No. Yeah, you will. Why not? Why wouldn't you? Because the Apple phone is only a conduit for the credit card. If you take Visa, MasterCard, or American Express, you wouldn't necessarily even know that they're.
Well, if we wouldn't know, but it's not like it's something we're going to do on purpose. We're not going to have a reader.
We have.
No, you're not going to have a reader. But if you accept payments on your website,
still don't think it's going to. Yeah, I mean, I think there's plenty of other things that could kill PayPal other than that.
Yeah, I agree. PayPal is vulnerable, but not from this. I don't think. You can pay by credit card.
I think the fact
website.
now you can email someone money is more detriment to
E-Interact
PayPal.
is more. Yeah. People are embracing e-interact from both sides
because it's instant, it's cheaper, costs a $1.50 transaction, and you don't have to wait 3 to 5 days to download it from your bank. That's going to kill PayPal.
Yeah,
but you can pay by credit card, so through PayPal. But truly, you don't care. As someone who pays us, you just know that you can pay by major credit card. And you don't need a PayPal account. You
don't care who's processing the
so why
transaction.
would we go to Apple?
No,
why
as long
would
as we get
go
the money.
To Google? Why would we go to Square? Is it
Square? Square's getting out of that business.
Out?
Yep.
Yeah, they were more expensive than other ones are anyway.
Okay. But why would we go to any of the others when you can pay by credit card?
Yeah. Well, the thing is too, it's like if they're paying online through their phone and we don't know, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care if you're.
But I'm never, it's like there's, plenty of small businesses that are never going to have like the reader and stuff. So, but I think, like I said, PayPal's got more to worry about than Apple.
Yeah.
No, I agree. But and they can pay by Apple from their end. And right,
actually, if you
credit card.
If you look at the list of, let me see if I have it here, the list of the actual merchants that are on board out of the gate, they're all the the higher end. Whole Foods is one of them. Macy's. Where's the other
Is that
ones?
the only way you can pay?
No, of course
a
not.
regular credit card and cash?
They have all their other regular payment methods.
Yeah, but it's not like those stores take PayPal anyway, so it's like doesn't really matter.
No, so they would just have they also have the little Apple Pay reader there, and then so if you want to pay through your iPhone.
So does Apple? Does Apple? Do they create the reader, or are they outsourcing that?
I'm sure that it's produced by another company. I don't think.
I see it being more like a Starbucks, where you're in line and you want it to be fast. Whole Foods, I don't care about getting out of Whole Foods quickly like I do.
Well, it's not just
It's
quickly.
not a speed thing. It's just a convenience factor.
it's
Rather
con-
than having to have to have your cards on you and potentially have them read by a reader. They're all protected in your whatever security little vault on your phone, and boom, it's done. So it's just convenience.
It's like you don't have to carry the wallet around anymore. It's all in the phone.
Wow.
Well, it's the same as like I don't carry a wallet around most of the time too. I've got my driver's license, my bank card. I don't need much else most places.
Yeah, but in this case, you wouldn't even need the cards. It would just all be in the phone.
Well, you still need your driver's license. I don't think police are going to take your phone as your driver's license.
Oh, that's right.
And if your phone
Maybe
is,
in the future. Maybe that's the next thing. The Apple driver's license.
No, thank you.
and then if your phone is stolen, there is some period of
Oh,
time.
if your phone's stolen, you're fucked anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not.